Well, we're going to get back. We got Greg Bihn with PetroEd and Jason Dugas also. So Greg is actually here in person, and he's going to kind of get things started, and then Jason will take over about a third of the way in. So this is a competency-based education program, and Greg and I have been talking for what, 2 or 3 years easily, right?
Oh yeah.
And you know, lots of great ideas, and we just haven't quite got it over the hump. But this current situation may help to push us over a bit. And but he's going to start talking about some of the things that that they're involved in. So, Greg.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that introduction. And as Jim says, we've been doing this for quite a while, just thinking about it. And my background is I'm a petroleum engineer. I have a master's degree from University of Southern California. I spent 10 years in with ARCO before they got bought out by BP. And then I started this company about 30 years ago. So I'm a little bit older than Jim. Jason is from NASA. He comes to us from NASA. Spent 15 years with them, and he's in his early 40s there, so full disclosure. So there's basically 2 companies that run all of the systems that we deploy around the world, SkillGrid and PetroEd. PetroEd is the e-learning content side, and SkillGrid is the platform. How do I
click on the screen and then
click on this?
No, if you got to get the mouse like here, and now you can
just click on
on
this one.
the screen.
Okay, perfect. So I hate to mention IEDC, International Association of Drilling Contractors, but our system, SkillGrid, manages all well sharp around the world on a weekly basis. We do pre-COVID, we were doing about 1,000 students a week, about 100 classes. And we through SkillGrid, we manage about half of the world's drilling certifications for well control. So this is it's a global product, SkillGrid. It's a platform. You've probably seen all kinds of different words used with platforms, but ours is a workforce development platform. Since we launched the learning management system, and I think most people have used a learning management system, especially in these times of the virus and so forth. So we've had about 1.2 million users in the system since 2000. That's worldwide. A lot of our clients, Transocean, Shell, Shelf Drilling, so on and so forth, have evolved that platform, which is called SkillGrid again. And Shell came in around 2008 or so and pushed us into the competency management world. And that's what I'm really trying to talk about today. Is I'll focus on competency management, and Jason will do an actual demo of some of the systems that we've evolved. And again, Shell Oil actually owned a company called Frontier Drilling that was, I think it was sold off to Noble Drilling, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, so the accreditation management system is another extension of that platform, and IEDC came and contracted us in 2016. So we have a very, very innovative software development culture. We're a very innovative company. We're not so good on marketing. A lot of our products are white labeled. If you work at Transocean, you'll use a program called the ILS, but it is white label for WellSharp. If you go to Chevron, they've just licensed, these are some of the stats. The CMS, Competency Management System, does millions of competencies annually on remote platforms all over the world. Most of those are drilling rigs, I should say. And we have just crossed the 300,000 or 350,000 mark, really, with IEDC since 2016 when it was launched. It really was 2017, so we do probably about 100,000 a year of these certifications. And the nice thing about IEDC is they introduced, or because Chevron and Exxon are all, and Halliburton, Schlumberger, so forth, they are all members of IEDC and they are registered training providers. Our company got exposure to Chevron, and Chevron, Jason negotiated this contract, but at the end of the day, Chevron decided to use the accreditation management system to manage their worldwide, well-controlled training centers. So that's another evolution of the platform, and it's a very good, solid sign. We also got a notification from the Basin United group in Permian that our platform was selected through the IADC to run that initiative called Basin United with Exxon, XTO, which I believe is Exxon, Chevron, and there's a few other Pioneer Natural Resources, I think. So anyway, so that's the software side of the equation. Now the other side, and this is what some of the discussions earlier on were about the content, and the content is very important, as we were talking about earlier, and the engagement and all these VR things and AR, and I always say you just can't ignore the reality factor called HR, which is the human reality. And no matter what VR, mixed reality you call it, you got to get the attention of the HR, which is the human reality. And that human reality is very, very difficult to put your head around. Everybody says, oh, well, we should all be in VR. Another group says AR, another group says mixed reality. And I can tell you right now, I don't know where that is going to go. We have a baseline, which I call it just e-learning, and you can mix it all up however you want. And the nice thing about SkillGrid is it can accommodate basically any sort of electronic content distribution and manage and track that performance however you want. And of course, performance is a key part of the discussion today, as Jim was talking about earlier. So PetroEd, on the content side, we have 400 titles. Technical stuff, we have horizontal drilling that was developed by Texas A&M professor. We have a lot of content developed by Schlumberger. Some of the content is developed by Halliburton. We have a whole mixed bag of contributions. Chevron developed our well control, advanced well control, and then Neighbors Drilling developed the introduction to well control. So we have, through our evolution in the last 30 years, assembled a very, very wide range of content, and Jason will show you some of that in a few minutes. Now let's get back to the key point that I'm focused, I'm passionate about competency-based education. And if you are from the military, you're going to know what competency-based education is. And the reason for that is that when you go to war, you can't say, okay, well, let's put everybody through a 4-year training program. You can't do that. So you have to kind of say, okay, what do we got? Sort it out. And if you don't know how to fire a gun, we'll teach you how to do that. If you don't know how to load gunpowder, we'll teach you that. And then the guys that know how to do both, you're going to go first. Okay, so that's why all this, and of course NASA it derives most of its processes through the U.S. Navy. A lot of people don't know that, and they are basically coming up through that sort of military channel. So we basically copy their sort of definition, and it's very simple. Competencies are the combination of knowledge, skills, and abilities. KSA, IDC uses the term KSA. You know, that's cool. We're comfortable with that. A lot of people say A is attitude or aptitude or whatever it is. It gets really, really complicated when you're trying to tell programmers, you know, what you want. So we kept it as simple as we could. And basically it's just knowledge and skills. And well, if you want to take the time to evaluate a guy, that's the ability side, and we can do that too. But that gets kind of quirky there. But knowledge, skills, and abilities that combine somehow to contribute, and I would say enhance the individual and organizational performance. That's a really simple definition, but the US taxpayers probably spent $1 billion in making that definition. And because it is taxpayer funded, we can of course use that without any compensation to NASA, I believe. Okay, so SkillGrid again manages both knowledge, skills, and abilities. Abilities is very, very, you know, it's difficult to kind of put, is that guy a beginner or an expert? But we do track that if you want that option. But knowledge and skills, it's all on a single platform. And so knowledge, again, it's just that information that you're getting from a book. You can get it from a video, you can get it wherever there's so many places where you can get the videos, all this knowledge, right? And then you can assess yourself via the computer now. So everything is very portable. But skills and abilities have to be, you know, they have to be demonstrated and assessed by humans. And that's a very, very expensive proposition, especially internationally. About 75% of our business is international. We furnish our systems for Halliburton, Transocean, shelf drilling, and so forth. So we have the assessor role, the student role, and these they have their own people that they qualify as assessors. So the combination again of knowledge and skills and abilities combine to make a competency. And then with that, I'm going to introduce Jason, and I understand Jason, all you have to do is click the video, and then you'll be the presenter. And just a little bit about Jason again. He's from NASA, and we're very, very fortunate to have him on board and running most of the operations that I mentioned. He manages all of IEDC, and their downtime is phenomenally low. And we hope to maybe bring some of those skill sets, our knowledge, expertise, and again, we own the software and we license it to IEDC and all these other companies, right? So we can license it to any of the IADD members. So go ahead, Jason.
Thanks, Greg. Let's see, guys are in Houston. I'm going to share my screen, so you'll may have to give me permission there.
Jason, do you see a share screen button at the bottom?
There we go. Yep, it just came through. Thanks.
There's always just a little delay. Makes you nervous.
Are you guys able to see? It'll be coming through here in just momentarily.
Yes, you're good.
Got it. Okay. Well, appreciate the opportunity to present to the group today. I've heard some pretty interesting discussions earlier, and appreciate the opportunity to be here. What Greg alluded to earlier, SkillGrid is essentially it's our platform name. So we have within that platform a variety of components. And what I'm going to show you is the learning management system, which has the ability to deploy not only e-learning, we can deploy simulations. We can take simulator results and integrate them into the user's profile. Some of the AR type discussion earlier, results from those types of activities can be integrated into the user's profile. So, and I think one of the common themes I've heard this morning is, there's a lot of opportunity out there and a lot of change, but what is constant is the knowledge still has to be there. You still have to have a foundation of knowledge, of fundamental knowledge, I would say, to build upon. And if you don't have that foundation to build upon, all the data management, data science, all that kind of stuff in the world is not going to help you, because you're missing key fundamentals that you have to understand before you can get to that higher point on the pyramid. So this is just, this is a way, and as Greg mentioned, we have hundreds of titles here, but this is our introduction to well control course. I'm going to play just a little bit of this. It happens to have a multi-language ability. I'm not going to demonstrate the multi-language feature, but we can deploy this in any language: Arabic, French, Vietnamese. Because we have global clients, and so I'm just going to play the English version today. But just we'll kind of go through a couple of different valves just to demonstrate how some of the e-learning works. E-learning is a very effective way of teaching the fundamentals because it's consistent deployment, it's low cost, and it's scalable. And those are the big advantages of using it. And obviously there's a place for instructor-led training, which is, at some of the higher levels, some of the niche topics where you really need that one-on-one individual experience. But for the fundamentals, for the basics, for introductory, for awareness, introductory, and even some mid-range knowledge levels, this is an appropriate modality. So I'll play this just a little bit, play it for just a few minutes just to give you a flavor of what it looks like, and you should be able to hear the audio.
Both may have drill string safety valves. These valves can shut off flow through the Kelly and the attached drill string. If for any reason fluid started to flow backwards through the drill string, these valves can be used to block it. Some strings may have a one-direction check valve called a float valve, back pressure valve, or float. This is located at the end of the drill string behind the bit. This valve permits fluid to flow freely down the string, but prevents any reverse flow when the pumps are turned off.
So I'll just play just a little bit more here on the bit jet.
Bottom of the drill string, the drilling fluid passes through the bit jets. The bit jets are restrictions that create a high-velocity stream to the bottom of the hole to improve the cutting efficiency of the bit. That high-velocity stream sweeps away cuttings from the face of the bit, thus providing a clean cutting surface.
Okay, so the concept here is that, we're establishing some basic knowledge on the various components of the drill string. This is our introduction to well control course. And you might notice just a little bit about the interface here, that as this thing is reading, as the narrator is reading, there's a script down here, and it's just like it's hyperlinked. So you can use it to navigate anywhere throughout the presentation at any time. If you need to go back and hear another section, you can do that. And over here we have kind of like a table of contents. This is very similar to a book, but for students or for users who prefer to hear the information versus reading it, or if you want to read it, you can do that too. But it gives you the dual modality for knowledge retention, and it's done in a way that's a very high quality, in terms of our content. I'll move on just a little bit. This was the learning management system. So this is our deployment, our e-learning deployment. We also have a competency management system. As Greg mentioned, it was designed originally for Shell Oil. And essentially what this system does is it tracks all of the competencies that are required for a given user. So, and generally those are done through positional competencies. I have an example later I'll show you of an assistant driller competency set. But basically, and this is kind of a screenshot from before, you've got knowledge, skills, and abilities, okay? And up here, the knowledge is covered by e-learning, similar to what I showed you just earlier. So what you can do is you can actually integrate educational resources, and that could be anything. It doesn't have to be e-learning. It could be PDFs, manuals, ebooks. It could be a simulation. Anything that represents a way to convey knowledge and to be assessed on knowledge. And then the skills and abilities really represents, okay, what can you do, right? And we handle both of those in here. And it turns out that what our clients needed at the time, and they still use this feature quite often, is a way for the employee, a lower level employee, to convey to an assessor of some sort. And that could be a third party assessor, it could be a supervisor within the company, to essentially be notified that, hey, the student or the person being evaluated is ready for that evaluation. And as the student's going here, clicking ready for evaluation, you can see up here, this is the assessor's screen that's running in parallel. The assessor's getting notification that, hey, there's a individual out there who's ready to be assessed. And then we obviously are able to document that assessment and create an immutable record that shows or demonstrates that the student was able to reach those competencies. And if not, you know, we have mitigation or remediation mechanisms in there that they can assign other work to get that individual caught up. So I'll just last thing, couple things actually, but I did want to show you what a competency tree looks like. That's something that's kind of a fundamental component here. So I'm going to pull up Assistant Driller. This is actually for one of our larger clients out of Dubai. Basically, they have all of their OJTs, all their on-the-job training components are listed for every position. So depending on what position you hold, what location you're at, you know, if you're if it's a company that does work in multiple geographic locations, the competencies may be different equipment. All those are parameters that we can go by in terms of assigning or creating a unique competency plan or training plan. And so just as an example here, I'll zoom in so you can see a little bit better. So, you know, here we have an assistant driller. There are various general topics working with the drill string. You see that there's a well control component here. So if I click on well control, it comes down. There's that introduction to well control e-learning component with the knowledge part. And then here are some of the exact, you know, skills, abilities, and they even have some pieces in here where it's kind of like an oral exam, like they want the individual to be able to explain concepts or procedures and that sort of thing. So that's just kind of an overview of what the CMS, the competency management system, looks like. And then finally, I'll just give a brief mention to, we have a training management system that this is end to end. So it's learning management, competency management, and even instructor-led course management. So we have the ability to plan and devise a go-forward method for scheduling classrooms, instructors, student notifications, just a turnkey end-to-end system that handles enterprise training needs. So this is a new product. We just came out with it earlier this year, and we're rolling it out on all of Transocean's rigs. So it's got the blessing of industry already, even though it's just been released this year. So that's it. I'll stand by if there's any questions or other comments. I'll be here. Thank you.
We're gonna have to develop a training course for you.
Yeah.
Would you prefer that online or in person?
Yeah, in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jason, or just what Jason was going over on the competency tree. That's what we would help or assist you folks in building for the directional drilling levels. You would say, okay, this is the competencies that a directional, entry-level directional guy would need, or an advanced guy, or whatever it is in your terminology, and we would build that around there. And so anyway, that's kind of the goal there. Is that good? Fair enough. Okay.
Yep.
Well, just I guess I have to do this again.
Yeah. Click on this, like, share.
Okay. Yeah, just to kind of put the exclamation point on the concept is that this platform, SkillGrid, you could include an IADD course, launch that course, and then get a certificate. And that certificate could be delivered, you know, for an actual e-learning course or an actual instructor-led course. Our system has both. And a nice feature is that little QR code at the bottom. So anybody anywhere in the world, if they have access to the internet, can just simply scan that code and it'll launch SkillGrid and verify that that individual is who he or she says they are. So again, the benefits to your organization, low cost to implement because this thing has already been developed. We were, one of our clients probably spent about $2 million just on the software development side of it. Again, and we own it, and you know, we can make it, we can license it to the IADD. It's immediately available. It's proven worldwide, so there's no R&D or embarrassment or anything like that. It's all managed online. We have the multi-language capability. I understand somebody here is from Venezuela and they're going to Qatar. So we have a program you can switch between Arabic and Spanish. That's how flexible it is. Consistency in delivery. Once you make it, it becomes uniform throughout the whole industry. And the integrity of the certificates, as I mentioned, and you actually have a centralized repository of IADD member companies so they can access those records and charge for that service like IADC does. So again, the last slide here, standardized education program for directional drillers, establish a platform for introducing e-learning. It's a starting point in the progression of a more advanced courses and certification, and support the stated objectives of IADD education programs that we've been discussing today, and contemplates a more formalized approach to your profession, which I understand is, you know, it's pretty loosey-goosey there. So anyway, that's the end of that. And any questions for me or Jason, just pop